I'm giving you useless information? Okay, enjoy your green hair. I used to sell pool and hot tub chemicals. A part of the job is testing customers' pool/hot tub water to see what chemicals they needed. If you don't take care of your pool or check it often, you need a lot of chemicals to fix the mess you've made. Particularly if you use chlorine pucks, they generally have such a low pH level that it burns away at your heater coil and causes you to have copper in your water. Well, a couple years ago a customer came up to me to test their pool water. It was a complete mess and it had a bunch of copper in. This isn't the exact conversation because it was a while ago, but this was the main points. Me, yeah, the main issue is your pH is so low it making your chlorine less effective, and you have copper in your water. Customer, yeah, just get me the stuff I need to fix it. I go and grab all the chemicals he needs and put it on the counter. Customer, how much is all of this going to cost? Me, around $250. Customer, I'm not paying that much. Is all of this really necessary? Me, yes. You won't be able to hold chlorine. And you need to get the copper out. If you oxidize copper with a shock, it's going to stain parts of your pool and can even tint your hair green. If you have recently dyed blonde hair, customer, my daughter is having a pool party next weekend and I just want the pool to have chlorine for then. Me, yes, and you need all of this to make sure you're good to go. Customer, can you just put everything away and only give me the chlorine? Me, fine. I'm not going to argue. I don't work on commission. Fast forward a couple days and the customer's wife came in. It was subtle, but you could tell her hair had a funny tint to it. She asked for all the chemicals that I recommended to her husband and she paid with zero hesitation. The husband never came in ever again and his wife took care of the pool from that moment forward. The next time the wife came in, it looked like her hair had been dyed the original blonde color she used to have. TLDR. A customer ignored my advice and his wife came back with her hair tinted green. Now to the comments. I used to work for a major green aproned hardware and gardening chain in Australia and we sold chlorine, shocker, and pool salt, usually only 1 or 2 brands, and basically no other pool supplies. There were no specialty pool experts in my store, just those of us who had pools and knew a bit about them. The amount of people who went to a specialty local pool shop that offered free water testing and would then give an itemized breakdown of exactly what that person's pool needed, which that mum and dad shop could help them with. And then that person would take that very clear and specialized list and bring it to us to try and save a few bucks, and get pissed we'd not be able to help them with the specific amounts or more specialized brands. Did you just give them a snag and shoo them away? I work at a large swim center occasionally. People really don't understand chemical levels. Yes, the spa is closed because the pH is wrong. No, we can't just dump more chemicals in. If we do a dump, the auto sensors will pitch a fit. We can do a water dump, but that will take hours to get back up to temp. Yes, we know what we are doing. Please, person who has just ignored all the barricades and gone in, either you go take an emergency shower or I will hose you for your own safety. At least you barricaded it. I'm staying at a hotel now where they didn't bother to barricade or put a sign up, and I had a guy, probably the front desk guy, screaming at me for using it. Put a sign up, pool closed for fecal contamination. That should keep people out. My BF is a pool cleaner and some of his clients are something else. They'll lie about the state of their pool saying it's fairly clean and when he gets there, the pool is green with dead animals in it. I once had a customer call and ask me what to do with a dead cat in the bottom of their pool, told them to remove it and dispose of it properly. They asked me what to do with the cat's soul. Told my boss about that and the guy just looked at me. What the duck, man? I don't know. Just tell her to call the church or something. It's likely caught in a cleaning valve. Just open that up for a few seconds and it should be fine. This is fascinating. Always wondered about the chemistry that caused green swimmers' hair. I expect your lady customer explained that her highlights cost a lot more than $250 to her ridiculous husband. Yeah, to have it color corrected, treated, and re-dyed. Probably spent a pretty penny. I don't know shit about hair, but just to have mine bleached so I could manically panic it was 70. So guaranteed it was pricey lol. I'll never understand this, people go and ask experts and then ignore the advice. Hell, even I know that this can happen and I know nothing about pools. OP replied. Oh, I know. I could probably list 10 different ways pool owners would ignore my advice to get screwed over in the end. A common one that would happen once a week is when dealing with a saltwater pool customer. The short version is salt is made of NaCl, and so salt pools just split those two chemicals apart to give you a more natural chlorine. Well, if your pool is green with algae, you need to shock it with a burst of chlorine. There were so many customers that would get mad at me for telling them to add chlorine into the pool to kill any bacteria that's in there. No, you don't understand. I have a salt pool. Salt pools don't use chlorine. Yes, they do. They just use a more natural chlorine. Salt is sodium chloride. A salt pool just uses chlorine from the salt itself. So, salt pools so use chlorine. You need to add chlorine to help fix your pool. No, you're wrong. My pool will be worse if I add chlorine to it. You don't add chlorine to a salt pool. Yes, you do. Let me speak to your manager. My manager would come out and always agree with me. Sometimes they would walk away and go to a different pool store. Sometimes they would swallow their pride and admit they were wrong. But something about pool owners is they think they are king shit because they own a pool. So, they will almost never admit to being wrong. Huh. Never knew salt pools were a thing. Today I learned. Wow. I feel your pain. I've been working for almost 10 years at a Canadian pool store for their water testing and chemicals department. I have quite a few stories as well. I had a case where this lady didn't want to learn/understand how to vacuum/pick up the leaves and debris at the bottom of her swimming pool. She shows up in April asking how to remove the leaves. I tried to explain how to install her vacuum, but she doesn't how her pipes and skimmer are configured. Ends going to the parts department but doesn't understand anything. Fast forward to May. She shows up, complaining that her pool's water is murky. I ask her if she has debris still at the bottom of the pool. Still doesn't. I ask her for how long has it been there. She tells me that she never removed any of it. I tried explaining to her how to use a net or a vacuum to clean it out. Still doesn't want to understand and do it. Finally in June, she comes back, complaining about her liner being stained. Turns out all that junk decomposed and stained the liner. I tell her to put degreaser in, after being advised by my boss, and not to put any chlorine in for 24 hours. She comes back the next day and tell me the pool is foaming like crazy. I ask her if she put in any chlorine and she doesn't know. She tells me that her family might have thrown in chlorine without telling her. She asks me what to do. Mom, you're going to have to empty half the pool and fill it back up. But sir, is there? No, Mom, there isn't. Never saw her again after that. Dumb question, but if your pool is so ducked that you need hundreds of dollars of chemicals to unduck it, wouldn't it be better to empty it and start fresh anyway? I know it's terrible for the environment, but water is cheap as duck in most of the world. Good question there. If you get to the point that you need hundreds of dollars of chemicals to unduck a pool, generally, it's better off to empty it, since adding more chemicals would cause chemical reactions that can duck over your pool big time. However, I usually recommend not emptying pools, since the most common problems, like green algae or murky water, are fairly easy to fix by balancing out the pH and alkalinity levels before using a strong dose of chlorine to clean out the pool, followed by vacuuming and letting the filter do its work. Emptying pools tends to wear out the liners faster due to them being exposed directly to UV rays, which dries the vinyl faster, so we try and avoid emptying those out. It also causes the liners to wrinkle in in-ground pools, as well as bubbles to appear between the liner and the wall. Fiberglass pools should be the least often emptied, since you empty them too much and the ground around them is gorged with water, they'll pop out of the ground. Only in extreme cases such as cyanuric acid, also known as stabilizer, levels being too high, would I recommend emptying a pool. In OP's case, if they had to empty to water, they would have to be careful not to get it on their lawn, since copper kills plants.